Welcome to Lesson 10 of the Role of the Priests in the Kingdom of Divine Will. Part 2, Priests. Portion 5 of Subsection 1, The Call of Priests in the Holy Divine Will. Volume 25, October 3rd, 1928. Exchange between Jerusalem and Rome. In creating man, God placed as many seeds of happiness in him for as many things as he created. My poor mind was thinking about many things regarding the divine will, especially about how its kingdom could come, how it could spread, and many other things that it is not necessary to write on paper. And my beloved Jesus, moving in my interior, told me, "My daughter, if Rome has the primacy of my church, she owes it to Jerusalem, because the beginning of redemption was precisely in Jerusalem. Within that fatherland, from the little town of Nazareth, I chose my Virgin Mother. I myself was born in the little town of Bethlehem, and all of my apostles were from that fatherland. And even though ungrateful, she," there is a footnote here, footnote 10, reads Jerusalem. "And even though ungrateful, she, Jerusalem, did not want to recognize me, and rejected the goods of my redemption, it cannot be denied that the origin, the beginning, the first people who received the good of it were from this city. The first criers of the gospel, those who established Catholicism in Rome, were my apostles, all from Jerusalem, that is, from this fatherland. Now there will be an exchange. If Jerusalem gave to Rome the life of religion, and therefore of redemption, Rome will give to Jerusalem the kingdom of the divine will. And this is so true, that just as I chose a virgin from the little town of Nazareth for the redemption, so I have chosen another virgin in a little town of Italy belonging to Rome, to whom the mission of the kingdom of the divine Fiat has been entrusted. And since it must be known in Rome, just as my coming upon earth was known in Jerusalem, Rome will have the great honor of requiting Jerusalem for the great gift received from her, that is redemption, by making known to her the kingdom of my will. Then will Jerusalem repent of her ingratitude, and will embrace the life of the religion that she gave to Rome. And grateful, she shall receive from Rome the life and the great gift of the kingdom of my divine will. And not only Jerusalem, but all the other nations shall receive from Rome the great gift of the kingdom of my Fiat, the first criers of it, its gospel, all full of peace, of happiness, and of restoration of the creation of man. And not only shall my manifestations bring sanctity, joys, peace, and happiness, but the whole of creation, competing with them, will unleash from each created thing each of the happinesses it contains, and will pour them over the creatures. In fact, in creating man, we placed in his being all the seeds of the happinesses that each created thing possessed, disposing the interior of man like a field that contained all the seeds of happinesses, so much so that he has within himself all the tastes to be able to savor and receive into himself all the happinesses of created things. If man did not possess these seeds, he would lack the sense of taste, of smell, to be able to enjoy what God had put out of himself in the whole creation. Now, by sinning, man caused all these seeds of happiness that God had infused in him in creating him to fall ill, and therefore he lost the taste to be able to enjoy all the happinesses contained in creation. It happened as to a poor ill one, who cannot enjoy all the flavors contained in foods. On the contrary, he feels heaviness. Food itself converts into pain. Everything gives him nausea. And if he takes it, it is not because he enjoys it, but in order not to die. On the other hand, the one who is healthy feels taste, strength, warmth, because his stomach has the strength to assimilate the goods contained in foods, and he enjoys them. The same happened in man. By sinning, he caused the seeds, and the very strength, to be able to enjoy all the happinesses contained in creation, to fall ill. And many times they convert into pain. Now, with the return of man into my divine Fiat, the seeds shall acquire health, and he will acquire the strength to assimilate and to enjoy all the happinesses present in the order of creation. So, a contest of happiness shall begin for him. Everything will smile at him, and man will return to be happy as God had created him. Volume 25, October 7th, 1928. So, as this house, there's a footnote here, footnote 11, which reads, "The new St. Anthony Orphanage in Corrado, wanted by Father Annibale, that was ad priested, meaning overseen, by the Daughters of Divine Zeal, a branch of one of the religious congregations founded by Father Annibale." So, as this house was about to be opened, one could see people, nuns, little girls, people coming and going, all in motion. I felt all impressed, and my sweet Jesus, moving in my interior, told me, "My daughter, this group of people whom you see all in motion for the opening of the house of my divine will is symbolic of that group of people when I wanted to be born in Bethlehem, and the shepherds were coming and going to visit me, a little baby." This pointed out to all the certainty of my birth. In the same way, this group of people, all in motion, points out the rebirth of the kingdom of my divine will. Look at how all of heaven echoes my birth, when the angels, celebrating it, announced me to the shepherds, and putting them in motion, made them keep coming to me, and I recognized in them the first fruits of the kingdom of my redemption. So now, in this group of people, of little girls and nuns, I recognize the beginning of the kingdom of my divine will. Oh, how my heart exults and rejoices, and all of heaven makes feast. Just as the angels celebrated my birth, so do they celebrate the beginning of the rebirth of my Fiat in the midst of creatures. But look at how my birth was more neglected, more poor. I had not even one priest near me, but only poor shepherds. On the other hand, at the beginning of my volition, there is not only a group of nuns and little girls from out of town, and a people rushing up to celebrate the opening, but there is an archbishop and priests representing my church. This is symbol and announcement to all that the kingdom of my divine volition shall be formed with more magnificence, with greater pomp and splendor than the very kingdom of my redemption. And everyone, kings and princes, bishops and priests and peoples, shall know the kingdom of my Fiat, and shall possess it. Therefore, you too, celebrate this day in which my sighs and sacrifices, and yours, to make my divine will known, see the first dawn and hope for the sun of my divine Fiat to soon rise. Volume 25, October 10th, 1928. 40 years and more of exile. Virtue and strength of a prolonged sacrifice. Gathering of the materials, to then order them. Happiness of Jesus in blessing his little prisoner daughter. Kisses in the divine will. Decision from priests to prepare the writings for printing. Surprising graces that Jesus shall give to priests. My life is carried out before my Jesus in the sacrament, and oh, how many thoughts crowd my mind. I was thinking to myself, after 40 years and months that I had not seen the tabernacle, that I had not been given to be before his adorable sacramental presence. 40 years, not only of prison, but of exile. Finally, and after so long an exile, I have come back as though to my fatherland, though a prisoner, but no longer exiled, near my Jesus in the sacrament. And not once a day, as I used to do before Jesus made me a prisoner, but always, always. My poor heart, if I have it at all in my chest, feels consumed at so much love of Jesus. But while I was thinking of this and other things, my highest good, Jesus, moving in my interior, told me, "My daughter, do you think that my keeping you imprisoned for 40 years and more has been by chance, without a great design of mine? No, no. The number 40 has always been significant and preparatory to great works. For 40 years the Jews walked in the desert without being able to reach the promised land, their fatherland. But after 40 years of sacrifices, they had the good of taking possession of it. But how many miracles, how many graces, to the point of nourishing them with the celestial manna during that time. A prolonged sacrifice has the virtue and strength to obtain great things from God. I myself, during my life down here, wanted to remain in the desert for 40 days, away from all, even from my mamma, to then go out in public to announce the gospel that was to form the life of my church, that is, the kingdom of redemption. For 40 days I wanted to remain as risen, to confirm my resurrection, and to place the seal upon all the goods of redemption. So I wanted for you, my daughter. In order to manifest the kingdom of my divine will, I wanted 40 years of sacrifices. But how many graces have I not given you? How many manifestations? I can say that, in this great length of time, I placed in you all the capital of the kingdom of my will, and everything that is necessary, in order to make creatures comprehend it. So your long imprisonment has been the continual weapon, always in the act of fighting with your very Creator, to have you manifest my kingdom. Now, you must know that everything I have manifested to your soul, the graces I have given you, the many truths you have written on my divine will, your pains, and everything you have done, has been nothing but a gathering of the materials in order to build. And now it is necessary to order them and to get everything settled. And just as I did not leave you alone in gathering the necessary things that must serve my kingdom, but I have been always with you, so shall I not leave you alone in putting them in order, and in showing the great building that I have been preparing together with you for many years. Therefore, our sacrifice and work is not finished. We must go forward until the work is accomplished. Then, as I am near my Jesus in the sacrament, every morning there is benediction with the Most Holy One. And while I was praying my sweet Jesus to bless me, moving in my interior, he told me, "My daughter, I bless you with my whole heart. Even more, I bless my very will in you. I bless your thoughts, breaths, and heartbeats, that you may think always about my will, may breathe it continuously, and my will alone may be your heartbeat. And for love of you, I bless all human wills, that they may dispose themselves to receive the life of my eternal volition. Dearest daughter of mine, if you knew how sweet it is, how happy I feel in blessing the little daughter of my will. My heart rejoices in blessing she who possesses the origin, the life of our Fiat, that shall bring about the beginning, the origin of the kingdom of my divine will. And while I bless you, I pour in you the beneficial dew of the light of my divine volition, that, making you all shining, shall make you appear more beautiful to my sacramental gazes. And I shall feel happier in this cell gazing at my little prisoner daughter, invested and bound by the sweet chains of my will. And every time I bless you, I shall make the life of my divine volition grow in you. How beautiful is the company of the one who does my divine will. My will brings into the depth of the soul the echo of everything I do in this holy host, and I do not feel alone in my acts. I feel that she is praying together with me, and as our supplications, our sighs, unite together, we ask for one same thing, that the divine will be known, and that its kingdom come soon. So as my life is carried out near my prisoner Jesus, every time the door of the chapel is opened, that happens often, I send 3 kisses, or 5, to my Jesus in the sacrament, or a short little visit. And he, moving in my interior, tells me, "My daughter, how pleasing to me are your kisses. I feel I am being kissed by you with the kisses of my very volition. I feel my very divine kisses being impressed on my lips, on my face, in my hands and heart. Everything is divine in the soul in whom my divine will reigns. And I feel in your acts my love that refreshes me, the freshness, the gentleness of my very divine will that embraces me, kisses me, and loves me. Oh, how pleasing to me is my divine will operating in the creature. I feel that, by locating me in her, it gives me back and unfolds before me all the beauty and sanctity of my very acts. This is why I so much yearn that my will be known, to be able to find in creatures all of my acts, divine and worthy of me. Now I move on to say that my sweet Jesus seemed to be waiting for me here, in this house, near his tabernacle of love, to give start to priests coming to a decision to prepare the writings for publication. And while they were consulting with one another on how to do it, they were reading the 9 excesses of Jesus that he had in the Incarnation, that are narrated in the first little volume of my writings. Now, while they were reading, Jesus, in my interior, pricked up his ears to listen. And it seemed to me that Jesus in the tabernacle would do the same. At each word, he would hear his heart beat more strongly, and at each excess of his love, he gave a start, even stronger, as if the strength of his love would make him repeat all those excesses that he had in the Incarnation. And as though unable to contain his flames, he told me, "My daughter, everything I have told you, both about my Incarnation and about my divine will, and on other things, has been nothing but outpourings of my contained love. But after pouring itself out with you, my love continued to remain repressed, because it wanted to raise its flames higher, in order to invest all hearts, and make known what I have done and want to do for creatures. But since everything I have told you lies in hiddenness, I feel a nightmare over my heart that compresses me and prevents my flames from rising and making their way. This is why, as I heard them read, and take the decision to occupy themselves with the publication, I felt the nightmare being removed from me, and the weight that compresses the flames of my heart being lifted. And so it beat more strongly, and it throbbed, and it made you hear the repetition of all those excesses of love. More so, since what I do once, I repeat always. My constrained love is a pain for me, of the greatest, that renders me taciturn and sad, because since my first flames have no life, I cannot release the others, that devour me and consume me. And therefore to those priests who want to occupy themselves with removing this nightmare from me, by making known my many secrets, by publishing them, I shall give so much surprising grace, strength in order to do it, and light in order to know themselves first, what they shall make known to others. I shall be in their midst, and shall guide everything. Now it seems to me that every time the reverend priests occupy themselves with reviewing the writings, in order to prepare them, my sweet Jesus comes to attention, to see what they do, and how they do it. I do nothing but admire the goodness, the love of my beloved Jesus, who, while coming to attention in my heart, echoes in the tabernacle, and from within it, inside that cell, does what he does inside my heart. I remain all confounded in seeing this, and I thank him with all my heart. Here ends Lesson 10 of the Role of the Priests in the Kingdom of the Divine Will. Part 2. Priests. Subsection 1. The Call of Priests in the Holy Divine Will. Portion 5. Fiat.